Well, I'm joined here in the studio now by Ehud Barak, who until earlier this year was the Prime Minister of Israel, by James Rubin, who was President Clinton's Assistant Secretary of State, and by Rosemary Hollis of the Royal Institute of International Affairs. Mr. Barak, first of all, should we see this as an act designed to draw attention to what is happening in the Middle East, or should we see it as something quite separate from that?
It's clear that the whole Western civilization is at war with world terror. It might have some kind of indirect relationship to something that happened either in Afghanistan or somewhere else in the Middle East, but this is not the case. Once they are ready to hit the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, it means that we are basically at war. And I'm fully confident American people, which is a tough and courageous people, and have tough leadership at the helmet, they will know how to fight back. And I believe that leaders all around the world, here in the UK, in Europe, in Russia, the Russians will fully cooperate with this. Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Israel, of course, and others should join hands to defeat terror, period. We cannot afford this kind of threat to our whole way of life.
I'll come back to that point in a moment. I want to bring in Frank Gaffney, who's the director of the Center for Security Policy, who's in Washington. How do you think the United States will respond to this? And are you surprised, as an expert in security matters, that nobody had any inkling of what happened?
Well, to answer the second question first, I'm not frankly surprised, because this is precisely the way the cells that we're up against here, and perhaps their state sponsors, are organizing themselves and conducting their activities. It is purposely designed to keep the lowest possible profiles, avoid signatures, as they say in the intelligence business, and conduct their affairs in such a way that we won't know what's happened to us until it has happened. As to how the United States will respond, it remains to be seen, of course. My hope is that, as any number of people have said on this program and elsewhere here in Washington in recent hours, the United States is at war now. And I hope that the president will respond appropriately and accordingly. This is not a matter for business as usual, a judicial process, forensic investigations, and so on. I believe that we have been struck in a way that is probably going to be a precursor to even worse. And it is time for us to act as I think our friends in Israel have been doing for some time, quite correctly, which is to use such intelligence as we do have, to use such force as we have at our disposal to strike at and try to destroy these terrorists and their sponsors before they strike again.
But do you know who they are?
We probably won't know, if at all, for some time with precision who is responsible for this precise attack. Therefore, I would go after everyone who is engaged in terrorist acts against us, everyone who has made known their determination to do harm to the United States. I think we ought to use this as an opportunity, as has been pointed out by others, to put them on the run. Let them know that they've got no place to hide, and such places that they hide are going to be very difficult places from which to operate against us.
We heard earlier on that the United States security in airports was rather lax because there was a feeling that this was the kind of thing that couldn't happen. There have obviously been terrorist incidents in the United States, but compared with the way that terrorism is expected in Europe and in the Middle East, in the United States it's not thought